to you for, hosting us and doing the pre-order campaign and everything. It's been amazing. And I'm very, very excited that my two very wild friends are here today. We have Saniya and Emily, who are my conversation partners. And I'm just very grateful because these two have been very amazing vocal advocates and champions of both of my books so far.
And public nuisances.
Yeah, and public nuisances. Whose hobbies include getting attention and anything else. Trolling. So, yeah. And so I'm just very grateful that they traveled all this way to be in conversation with me. So, should we get the party started?
Let's get the party started. All right. So first question is just the basic. Do you like our outfits?
Yeah. I love the outfits. Those are very inconspicuous. With no hidden innuendo at all.
Just like this book. And then, of course, part 2 of the first question is, what would you like the audience to know about Lizzie Blake? Best mistake? Give us your elevator pitch.
I'm not very good at the elevator pitches, believe it or not.
I feel like an escalator.
Yeah,
pitch.
no,
I a little longer.
I have a really hard time being concise, believe it or not. No, but this book follows the titular character, Lizzie Blake, who is a frenetic baker with very unmanaged ADHD, as she kind of navigates a world that's not exactly built for her, and she has a lot of difficulty accepting herself and connecting with other people. And so her best way to connect and find like very safe connections is through hookups. And she doesn't believe in like intimacy or emotional connections. But she breaks her cardinal rule and has a 2-night stand with quite a few consequences, and our baker has a bun in the oven. And so Lizzie and Break, her love interest, have to navigate platonically, which lasts for like 10 pages, co-parenting, and living in a studio apartment with no doors, and just kind of learning to not only love each other but love themselves and accept love too. And so it was my love letter to ADHD people and neurodiverse love, and yeah, I really like it.
Okay, flipping from the cover over to the first dedication page. A lot of people on social media have shared how much they loved your dedications, not only in Lizzie Blake, but also in A Brush with Love. Why did you choose to introduce a book with that?
I think, so the dedication is to anybody that's ever been told they're too emotional, they're too much. And I think that's something that I've heard a lot in my life. I have very intense feelings, right? Like I feel things very deeply. And I'm very loud. I'm like, not
a mic in sight.
Yeah. And, so it's, and I'm probably a lot to some people, but I think it was always, I think it's always a painful thing to hear that you are too much of something. And this book was just an exploration and just a very safe place to show a character that is larger than life. Lizzie is vivacious, she's vibrant. I love her so much. And I loved her every step of the way too. Like even while I was writing her, I knew that she wouldn't be for everybody, but she was exactly what I needed to see in a character. And so, I just wanted the book to be for anybody that's ever been told that they are too much, because you're not, and what is it, Elsie Myers from TikTok, where it's like, if I'm too much, find less. And, that's kind of the same sentiment and everything. And so, yeah.
Love that. All right. So your novels are gorgeous love stories, but they're very, very character driven. And that's personally one of my favorite things about them. So as you start to develop your characters and begin the writing process, what are some of the things that you come up with first? Like astrological signs, hair color, what are you doing?
Yeah. Hair color. I've struggled with hair color a lot while drafting various books, because it turns out I don't know the names for hair colors, and they're very easily confused. No, I think I'll be the first to admit that like my books aren't particularly plot driven. Like they're very much character and emotional driven. Which I enjoy writing, so like I'm happy with that.
But
But yeah, I think honestly, I've been very lucky, and it's a very cool experience to sit down and start coming up with a new book idea, because my characters are so loud in my head. They are very like voicey. They all have something that they want to say, and they won't leave me alone until I put it down on paper what they're trying to say. And so I guess like at the very crux of it, I'm just writing the story that they want to have told. And so it feels like it feels like a very removed process in a lot of ways, where it's like I'm just a scribe for the story they're trying to tell. And unfortunately, I wish they would tell me the story in order. They don't. They talk to me in like very random and non-linear ways, and then later I just have to kind of piece it together with some attempts at prose. But yeah, overall, it's more just I'm trying to figure out the crux of what they want to say about their journey and their experiences.
Okay, going back to Lizzie's ADHD, you do a really great job of lovingly representing her, not struggle, but coexistence with it. And like your choice of prose is very intentional. Can you talk about why you wrote it in such a way?
Yeah, so I think so often we see ADHD represented in all various types of media under kind of this guise, or like this understanding of like, if you're an ADHD person, this is what you need to do to make life easier for people around you. And I think a lot of like self-help books are written by neurotypical people, where it's like, your actions are causing your loved ones to suffer in X, Y, and Z, right? And so often that's been the narrative that we're like told about it. And I think that's so, I know that's so harmful, and I know that's so painful to kind of, it again adds to this idea that you're a burden if your brain is wired in a unique way, or that you have to change how you interact with the world to fit the specific mold and paradigm. And so, with this book, like my biggest goal was never to fix Lizzie, and it was never to like show her changing in the way that she like, how she presents her ADHD, or like have her mask or anything like that. It was to show that she is lovable exactly as she is, and exactly as her brain works. And so it's not like she's loved in spite of those things, she's loved because of those things. And so it's a big celebration of that. And I think that, that was one of the things that I loved most about how her and Rick interacted was, he was just gone for her from the start, and he just like, he loved her brain, and he found it fascinating and beautiful, in a way that, she deserved to be viewed and stuff. So yeah, that was always my biggest goal with how it was written.
One of my favorite scenes in the book, and I won't give any spoilers, but like the perfect like embodiment of how he views her even from the start was the scene with the picture that they take when they're walking around Philly. Like, I think that just like perfectly embodies the fact that he like understood her perfectly.
Yeah, I did love that. Yeah, so he like, they take a picture together, and she's like trying to get him to pose in a very serious way, and she's setting up the timer, and then she's like just a streak and a blur in the photo. And yeah, it was just like, a symbol of how she kind of barrels through life, and how like, despite it not being a picture perfect moment, it's perfect in its own way, and it's beautiful and valid because of that.
Captures the essence.
The essence. The spice.
Right. Well, from romances to family dynamics to friendships, your books include love stories of all kinds. And I want to ask, like, what is your favorite part of delving non-romantic friendships on the page?
Oh yeah. That's probably my favorite part of like writing the books too, is this kind of concept of found family. I think that it's like found family and putting your energy into relationships that nourish you and, are important to you is like one of the most beautiful things of existence. And it's like what we should really focus on, because so often we continue to feed into like really toxic or negative relationships, despite the fact that like there's not going to be any change to them. Like that's just kind of how it is. And so we hurt ourselves by returning over and over again to those. And so yeah, found family is a huge component of everything I've written so far. And I just have so much fun. Like these girls were so fun to hang out with. They were like, when I first started writing this friend group, they were the friends that I so badly like wanted to have and needed at the time. And they still feel like my friends. Like I think about them all the time. Like they are real and everything. And so, it's always been important for me to highlight that we can choose the relationships that we put our energy into and feel good about that.
Do you have any like underrated friendship duos that you
Oh,
talk about?
yeah, I do. So yeah, Dan from the first book, who's one of the main characters, he and Lizzie are just like, I want to write like 100 short stories of that. Like in my head, they like fight crime together. I don't even know why. Like they're just an unlikely duo of like best friends. And he just has always gotten Lizzie. And I think she just always loves like his softness too and everything. And so there's so many like interconnected dynamics among these, couples and groups and everything that are so fun to me. But that's the biggest one. Yeah. I just want to write like an entire like short story collection of them just like dicking around.
They'd like come up with a code name, like they'd be like Dizzy Solves Crime or something.
I love that. Dizzy Solves Crime. Yeah, that's so perfect. And then it's just like they're actually just burning a city to the ground, but like being vigilantes. But like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Okay, back to more writing related questions. Your symbolism choice for Lizzie is very intentional. There's a lot of color. There's a lot of like brightness. Can you talk about why you made those choices a little bit?
Yeah. So I think colors in general to me hold like a lot of meaning in the way that I interpret the world and see the world. And even from the beginning, Lizzie's red hair, it's a symbol that there's something different and unique about her. And she has a difference internally, but she also has this external difference. And I think that I try to approach writing in as sensory a way as possible. And with Lizzie, like every moment just felt very bright. It felt like effervescent and like fuzzy, if that makes sense. And so, there's a lot of colors that come into play throughout the story. Like she's constantly wearing red, which was, which like, which was kind of, that was an intentional choice because she's vivacious and it's, it was as simple as something where it's like, fashion magazines are like redheads can't wear red. And so she defies that, right? Because she doesn't like believe in these constructs that we have. But then it's other things where it's like, she's a passionate person about everything that she does and she gives it her all. And it's also like, even if you're relating it to something like the Scarlet Letter, where it's this like, not to go there, but like, this color of like lust and desire and everything. And she's kind of flipped the narrative on that where she doesn't feel this shame for her sexuality or desires or anything like that. And she wears it very loudly and proudly. And so, that came into play a huge part. And I think that was a huge part of the way that Rake saw her too, is like, he saw her in such full colors.
Part two of that, you have some really weird, I guess, fetus comparisons. How do you find those? Because most of the time it's just fruit. Yeah. But my favorite one was half-eaten corn dog.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. So throughout the novel, there's like chapter headings where it lists how many weeks along Lizzie is in her pregnancy. And the reason that even started was because one of the big editorial notes I got from my editor, she was like, I don't know where we are like along the progression and stuff. And I was like, I could do the hard work and like, math out and like throw a couple months or dates in there. I was like, or I can make this really simple and mildly chaotic and just put like these very bizarre comparisons as chapter headings where it's like, the fetus is the size of a sprinkle, or it has butt cheeks, or like, like all this silly stuff. And I was like, well, that definitely feels more like Lizzie. Yeah. And so there was like a lot of deep diving, and I found myself in some very bizarre, like the armpit of the internet, like finding comparisons of what like a fetus size was at different weeks. And I also was on some like subreddits where there was like, where there was like a lot of like arguments about like, no, it wouldn't be a flying squirrel at this age. It would be more like an eclair and all this stuff. And I was like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. So that was like a really fun second round of like going through big edits and stuff, addition to it. And yeah, it was just another thing that I was like, for Lizzie.
Yeah. One of my favorite like little blurbs is I think it was like Harper said she has like
Okay, that one was actually, I was learning about that in school at the time when I was drafting it, and I was like learning about the teeth cycle of like when they develop in utero, and I was like, I can't mess up a teeth. Yeah, I can't mess up. I'm like, ew, that's so weird. Like a fetus has teeth in you, like ew. And so yeah. So I had to add that in there somehow. My little shout out to Harper.
Love that. So if you could recommend any book to your main characters, what would you recommend to Lizzie, Rake, Harper, Dan, Indira, and two?
Okay. That's a really hard one. Yeah, the whole group. Okay,
You can like pair them together or something.
Yeah,
so
I'll pair them together. Okay, so I would say for Lizzie and Rake, obviously, one of my favorite books is Devil in Winter by Lisa Kleypas, and I would have to recommend that one because so that's a historical romance. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
That's a historical romance. And I cut my teeth. I came to the romance genre loving historical romance, and so I always try to emulate like the level of like the atmosphere that's in those novels and things like that. And just a shout out because the main character in that book is the name that I ended up picking for Lizzie and Rick's child too. So it's like kind of obvious, like that was rather low hanging fruit.
I like that Lizzie also chooses that name.
Yeah, because throughout the novel she's reading different romance novels too because she gets it and she's an ally. And then Harper and Dan, this is a really hard question.
Make you suffer.
Yeah, I would say I think like just Talia Hibbert's entire backlist, I think would resonate with both of them. Talia Hibbert is one of like the best authors that we have like at this point in time, and just like an idol of mine.
Talia, if you're watching this,
yeah. No, I think that Talia Hibbert's work has like just amazing heart and representation and so much, and that I think like Harper would really enjoy, and then Dan just enjoys anything Harper enjoys. So it's pretty easy there. And then as far as two goes, she would just want like an enemies to lovers. I mean, she wouldn't even want that. She would just want like a high fantasy novel, where like
a knife to the throat. And
yeah. But then they like pull it, like it's not even like there's a happy ending, and that's kind of her. So I don't even know because it's like so far outside of what I tend to read. So just like something very gruesome and high fantasy. And then Indira would probably be like a memoir, unfortunately.
I know, not a memoir.
Yeah. Like reading textbooks and everything. I know, but she'll come around eventually.
And then do you have anything that you want to recommend either the audience or people who are into your books, anything that's maybe coming out within the next year or so, something that you were maybe excited to read early, like give us all the recs.
I could go on for like an hour about all of that. Yeah. Well, so one of my favorite authors of all time, who also just happens to be my friend, and the author part came first, but the friendship I forced upon her, not that you two would know anything about that, right? Is Chloe Leva, and she's written the Bergman Brothers series, which has so far been self-published, and some of the best, funniest books that I've read. But her first traditionally published novel is coming with Berkeley in November 22nd. It's called Two Wrongs Make a Right, and it is just like it's so good. It's a Much Ado About Nothing retelling with like a contemporary twist. It's hilarious. It's just like the cutest book ever. So that one, and then I think as far as like historical romances go, I love Beverly Jenkins, and I think her backlist is incredible, and she's just like an icon and a legend to me, like within the romance genre. And so anything written by her is a good one. And then, one that I love, this is a YA rom-com, is Soulmates by Susan Lee. And that actually comes out later this month. And it's like, it's a look at like K-drama and like, oh my God, it's like the cutest book and it feels like a warm hug reading it too. So yeah, definitely pre-order that one.
Speaks to
So if it's-
warm hugs.
Yeah.
Warm up
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah, truly. Yeah. Yeah, those are some ones that are on my radar right now. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to more recommendations. What Taylor Swift album or song represents Lizzie and Rake, and then also the rest of
Okay, so I'm
Best
like,
question.
yeah, I mean, again, write a thesis on it. No, this is controversial, and like, I'm ready to get canceled for this opinion, but
I know what's coming out.
yeah. No, they are very much like Taylor's Reputation album, and because I know everybody hates it.
What?
Yeah.
Lizzie and Rake is
Yeah. No, I stand by that.
Like car, maybe?
Because they're petty, they're like a little bit trashy, and
so true.
yeah,
So true.
and they don't know exactly what they're trying to be, but they're gonna go for it anyways. And
Sure.
so yeah, I think that's them, and it's one of my favorite albums, by the way.
They
So
did commit to a bit. I will give them
yeah,
that.
yeah, they committed to a bit. They're like, yeah, we don't know what we're trying to be, but we're gonna be something big. And so yeah, and I'm ready to be canceled for that. Like that's the hill I will die on easily.
What about those babies?
Oh, Harper and Dan, they're probably Lover.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
just
what
like
I thought. That's
just
what I
like
thought.
all soft and mushy gushy. Yeah, so sweet. Yeah, that's totally them. Yeah.
What about the vibes for the next book?
Oh
No
yeah.
spoilers.
I do have the final in this series, and whatever. Series.
Series.
Yeah. Trilogy is coming out in April 4th, and it's called The Plus One. And it's their friend Indira's story. And that's like my emo folklore inspired book. Yeah, that one's very emotional. And yeah, probably the most like vulnerable thing that I've written. But it's got fake dating, and like childhood nemesis to lovers, to reluctant fake daters, to reluctant lovers. And so yeah, that comes out, I guess, in 7 months from now. So yeah. So exciting. It feels like it. Like folklore book.
Which kind of leads into the next question. You answered half of it, but like, what's next in the MELU? Which is what we call Mazey's.
Mazey Eddings, Literary Universe.
Yeah, so that one's coming out in April, and then I got the opportunity to write a YA, which is coming out in August 15th, and that one's called Tilly in Technicolor, and it follows an 18-year-old who just graduated high school, and she doesn't know what she's doing, but the one thing she does know is she doesn't want to go to college, and she doesn't have any idea what to do with her life. And so she ends up taking this like internship with her sister and in London and around Europe, and in like the most disastrous international flight you could possibly imagine. And so much of that was inspired by true events. Like, 'cause I've had some really, like, my mom can attest to this, I've had some of the worst flight experiences I think humanly possible. Like, the only thing I haven't experienced at this point is a crash, like, knock on wood, because it's been so bad. But yeah, so it's this disastrous international flight, and these two end up just like hating each other and just like being polar opposites, and then they find out they have to spend the summer traveling around Europe together and collaborating and working together. And that one is also all about like neurodivergent love, and the hero has autism and Tilly has ADHD, and so it was really, really fun to write. So those are the biggies coming out soon, and then like I have just a couple other fun projects in the works. Just a couple. Yeah.
That's all we have. Audience questions, anyone? We flew through that so fast.
Not long.
27 minutes. Oh my god.
27.
Oh, that's my lucky number. See, that was meant to be.
Audience question.
Katie, you got one?
I'm going to listen to the other question. That's breaking the seal. That's great. So I was curious because you obviously love this genre. This is a genre that you're very involved in. And I don't know if this question was already asked, so forgive me if it was, but what is the book that you read romance-wise that you said this is what I want to write?
Ooh. That's funny. I'm not sure that there's like a specific book that I read. So yeah, my journey is like, okay, so as one does, I went through like a really massive tutors phase when I was way too young. I was like 8 years old and like really obsessed. Like the tutor, yeah, like came out of the age. I was like, yeah, I was like very, very into it. And my mom, every Friday night, like our big thing would be, we would do a date night at the time it was Borders Bookstore while they were still open.
Yeah.
And, and I would just like, and I would just be like, you know, God, just scouring the shelves and everywhere. And I was really drawn to like the Philippa Gregory historical fiction books, and my mom, God bless her, would buy them all for me, and I was way too young to be reading these books.
Oh no.
Yeah, and there's just so much violence and death and everything that I was always like really fascinated by the love stories.
Okay.
Yeah, it turned out like fine, whatever, but like,
You know what, guys?
yeah, it was just enough to make me funny, and like, but
you started with two genre.
yeah.
And led into
And so I was like super into the love stories that would last like 5 pages and then somebody would be like, killed. And so then, you know, there was like a very obvious pipeline to historical romance. And Tessa Dare was the first author that I read, like,
Legend.
yeah, really in that genre. And I've DM'd her like, you know, after a glass of wine or 2 or 6, just kidding. And I've just been like, Tessa Dare, I love you so much. You've inspired me to write. And like, to be like, oh my God, thanks. And I'll be like, you know, so I absolutely lose it over
so
her.
Tessa, you're watching.
Yes. So Miss Dare, if you're there, I know I never like text the morning after where I'm like, hey, like, sorry about that. No, but yeah, Tessa Dare has hugely inspired me to write and just read in the genre. And then pioneers like Helen Wong and Talia Hibbert, who are writing amazing neurodivergent rep within their books, have been like massively inspiring. And I just think they're pioneers for the genre, and they've done something really cool with contemporary romance and have really just set a new standard, like a new bar for it and what the books can provide readers. So yeah.
Is there like a trope, genre, and or age gap that you're maybe excited to age group? I mean, that you're excited to maybe explore in the future?
Yeah.
In addition to your YA, of course.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about the YA, and I don't like, I'm not sure who I think I am, but like I have this idea for like, I don't know, I really want to get into fantasy, and I think that like fantasy novels are so amazing, and like world building is so intricate and cool, and like I don't right now have the confidence that I'm like clever enough to do it, but one day I would really love to write. I have like this idea of a mermaid book. And so and so I really want to dive into that. Now like the Little Mermaid trailer coming out has me all sorts of inspired. Yeah, and then, you know, I'm just like constantly thinking of other ideas instead of actually writing the books that are under contract. And like, you know, I'll be talking to my boyfriend about them, and the next thing I know, we've plotted out like a murder mystery that I definitely can't like pull off writing, but you know, we get like really jazzed and excited about it.
You gotta do my escape rooms.
Yeah, we do have to do more escape rooms. I think that would really, really help. But yeah, I mean, I love reading so much, and I love books, and I think that, you know, stories have always been this place to like experience the world and the way different people interact with it in like a very safe way. And so I just have like, I have so much respect for all the genres, and there's ideas that I have for all of them, but yeah.
So you're telling me, you said that you haven't done a lot of world building yet. You're telling you didn't make up the city of Philadelphia.
In all its grossness. No, the city of Philadelphia provided all of its own inspiration. Like I lived there for 4 years, and they were some of the best. Like I had so much fun living there. I can't say they were the best 4 years of my life because dental school was awful, and that's when I was there. But I loved Philadelphia, and like but I've never been to a more like gritty and like borderline disgusting city in my life, and that's why I love it. Like,
What did you say? Hairball tumbleweed or something like
oh
that?
yeah, for sure. No, like any area where there's like grossness within the books, like that's all based on real life. Where it's like there was a fresh grocer that was like the nastiest place I've ever been. Like I remember taking my mom in there once. We almost got in an altercation with somebody that like threatened to rip our ears off. Like it was so wild. It, you know, it's unlike anywhere I've ever been, and I love it. But yeah, I did not make Philadelphia up.
They say romance is
yeah.
all kind of candy and sparkle.
Yeah, yeah. The gritty underbelly of the real world.
Any more questions? Oh.
Oh, I don't think I would love to, but again, I don't think I'm clever enough to do that. Like I don't have the patience or like the focus to do the research that I think that requires.
That's fair.
Yeah, because I have a lot of respect for it, and like in a lot of ways it's like the one little safe spot where I'm like, I don't think I could rate this, and so I'm never like going into a book being like, oh, let me study the craft or like how this was done. It's more just like pure enjoyment right now. But I guess never say never. I would like to. I just don't think I have my.
I'm sure the osmosis has done something.
Yeah, well, maybe.
To absorb some of it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's all 100% historically accurate too.
Have to be.
Yeah,
It's fiction.
yeah, that's true.
Are you a snacker while writing, or are you like very much like sensory deprivation?
I am a snacker at all phases of life, and there's not a time when I'm not snacking. Yeah, no, I love to snack. I'll kind of eat whatever is on sale at like Aldi's that week, and yeah, I also do this fun thing where I like chug a sparkling water and see how long I can hold it in my mouth. Just like remember what it's like to feel something.
Feel the spice.
Yeah. So that, you know, that really gets the old engine running. Yeah, and then obviously I consume like copious amounts of sugar despite being, I am a decent dentist, so like I do brush, but
You brush with love.
yeah, I brush my teeth with
Love.
love. Yes, so true.
So we had a question from online.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They very much enjoy your dynamic and want to know how all of you met.
Oh. Well, we were annoying in the DMs.
They wore me down.
So this is my Tessa-Dare moment. So I read Brush with Love and Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake earlier this year, and I just fell in love. I felt so seen, and I was just like, it is my mission in life to now annoy Mazey Eddings. So if you want an affirming relationship in your life, try annoying the people you admire.
Send her some screenshots from some really weird books, and she cannot look away.
But that's like our bit.
Yeah.
So
Find something else.
I'm already saddled with like quite a bit of energy here. And so at the moment, not
5 days.
this is
Yeah.
day 5 of
Yeah.
a cross-state road trip as well. So we are sustained by nothing but bits and chaos.
that's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we've seen it all. We've seen it all. So yeah, I'm about to just kind of like log off the internet for the next year or so.
Too bad. You have your number.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess moral of the story is like annoy the people that you want to be friends with and into being friends.
I think a place to meet people who you have common interests in is online and social media
yeah.
anyway. So do you guys want to share your handles?
Yeah. Oh, and like, okay, all joking aside, I really do appreciate
Oh,
y'all being
thanks.
here so much. Like, I know I'm just roasted you a little bit, but no,
We deserve it.
yeah, I'm
And
so,
you'll never see us again.
I know this is goodbye, but like,
No,
No,
oh yeah, we're leaving literally right
yeah,
now.
I'm very grateful that you two have been so passionate and like excited to join me on this literal journey. So it's been awesome. Yeah, and then my handle on Instagram is at Mazey Eddings, and then on Twitter it's at FoxyGrandpa27. FoxyGrandpa27.
We love a cohesive brand. I feel like this is Mazey Eddings and this is Foxy Grandpa 27.
That's very true. That's very true.
Oh, my handle. It's deckled edges, 2 S's at the end on anything you can find it on.
And then my Instagram, which is mostly just cat pictures, admittedly, is Emily Minarik, my name, and then my Twitter is Emily Generic, which rhymes with my name.
And I still can't get it right. I'm like always like Emily Minarik. Because then I'm like, wait, how do I say generic? Yeah. Yes.
So we've got one more virtual question.
Yeah.
And
Woo.
it's just signing if everybody's cool with that. Excellent. So I'm gonna have to read it.
Yeah. Okay.
This one is, I think about the characters in your book. They didn't elaborate, but it's Mary Kill, floss, toothpaste, or mouthwash.
Oh. Okay. Wait, Mary.
Kill.
Uh-huh.
Floss. Oh, for floss, toothpaste, not mouthwash. So your 3 options are
okay.
floss, toothpaste, and mouthwash. And then
Oh, okay. Okay. No. I'm sorry. Yeah. So Mary your toothpaste. If you're doing nothing else, brush your teeth. But then I'm gonna go ahead and say affirmative, like affectionate, floss. Because yeah, affectionate, scrape those sides. Maybe get a water pick in there every once in a
Oh, so
while.
true.
Like,
yeah.
like, it's like flossing's like squeeging the sides of your teeth, but a water pick is like power washing the house.
She's a professional.
I am. And then, mouthwash is great, but like between the 3, I feel like legally, like, I don't even know if legally, like, I can even say all of this because I don't want it to be like, I'm just, but like between the 3, if you're gonna leave one out, mouthwash is okay. But do all of them. Please.
No, I
Yeah.
haven't had cavities in a while because I've been doing all 3.
I've never had a cavity, and I think that's why.
I'll show off.
I think that's why I was able to be a dentist because I've like actually never experienced what it's like to be a patient. I was like, I just got like constant affirmation from my dentist every 6 months, where it's like beautiful gums, like cleaning so well, and I'm just like, I could do this as a career for the rest of my life.
You're like, you know what I'm really good at? Is to help other people with flossing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my little PSA.
We got